Dear viewers, our topic today is the Renaissance. The word Renaissance means rebirth. According to John Drinkwater, the epoch of European history that is known as the Renaissance was the period of the revival of learning, with a consequent impetus to literature and art that occurred in the 15th and 16th centuries. For 600 years after the death of Saint Augustine, Europe was enveloped in a mist of intellectual darkness. The dawn came slowly. It implies that Renaissance came like an intellectual awakening after centuries of obscurantism and ignorance. The causes of the Renaissance are many. Let's break them down. In the first place, the capture of Constantinople by the Turks in 1453 was followed by the exodus of Greek scholars to Italy. These scholars carried with them the knowledge of Greek literature that the west of Europe had almost entirely lost. Secondly, in 1492, Columbus discovered America, and men began to have an entirely new idea of the world. Thirdly, social, political, and religious ideas were revolutionized, and the spirit of inquiry and intellectual activity transformed man's habitual mode of thinking. This spirit of inquiry ultimately led to the great schism called the Reformation. The beginnings of the Renaissance. The Renaissance had its beginnings in Italy because it was nearer to Greece and because it had inherited the Roman tradition. The Roman tradition was linked with the Roman Empire, which came into being in 625 BC and split into Eastern and Western empires in AD 286. Rome remained the nominal capital of both parts until AD 476, when the Western Roman Empire came to an end at the hands of the Germanic king Odoacer. The Eastern Roman Empire, more commonly known as the Byzantine Empire due to its Hellenization, survived until 15th century. Its capital, Constantinople, was overrun by Mehmed II of the Ottoman Empire in 1453. Paradigms and paradigm shifts. A paradigm shift occurs when people replace long cherished beliefs with new ways of thinking. With the inception of the Renaissance, people discarded many old beliefs. The Holy Roman Empire, which inspired medieval thinkers and writers as the longest lasting empire of all times, lost its historical significance. People no longer believed that the Holy Roman Empire was a divinely ordained machinery for the Christianizing of the Western world. Now they were more interested in the civilized culture of Greece and Rome. Secondly, the eternal city of Rome lost its fascination as an object of transcendental reverence. It no longer fascinated people as the ancient capital of the Roman Empire or the spiritual seat of the Roman Catholic Church. Now it attracted them as a treasure house of artistic and intellectual achievements. Thirdly, the paradigm shift gave birth to the secular philosophy of humanism, which prescribed that man is the measure of all things. The view of the theocentric universe propagated by medieval scholastic philosophy was replaced by the view of anthropocentric universe, which was based on man and his potentialities. Fourthly, under the influence of the Renaissance, men began to turn from the medieval preoccupation with death and to rejoice in the dear life of earth. Lastly, another paradigm shift took place in the field of science with the Copernican revolution in cosmology. The concept of geocentric universe propounded by Ptolemy in 150 CE was replaced by the concept of heliocentric universe, which was propounded by Nicholas Copernicus in 1543. Under the influence of the teachings of scholastic philosophy, people believed that the earth was the center of the universe, as it was the birthplace of Christ, and other planets, including the sun, revolved round it. It was Nicholas Copernicus who proved that it was the other way round. The earth was not the center of the universe. Instead, the sun was the center of the universe, and the earth revolved round it. These examples prove that a real revolution had occurred in human thought and religion had lost its value. representative authors. Under the influence of Renaissance, Italy produced men like Machiavelli and Ariosto. Machiavelli is best known for his treatise The Prince, written in the 16th century. He is often called the father of modern political philosophy and political science. On the other hand, Ariosto was a Renaissance poet and playwright, best known for his poem Orlando Furioso. Erasmus and Thomas More are also included among early humanist writers. Erasmus ridiculed church abuses in his book Praise of Folly. More is famous for his book Utopia, which is a socio-political satire. He was executed by Henry VIII for his humanist views. France produced men like Rabelais and Spain Cervantes. Rabelais is primarily known as a writer of satire, of the grotesque and of bawdy jokes and songs. On the other hand, Cervantes is widely regarded as the greatest writer in Spanish language and one of the world's preeminent novelists. His first novel, Don Quixote, is also regarded as the first modern novel. English writers contributed significantly in their respected fields. Spenser was best known for The Fairy Queen, a political allegory celebrating the Tudor dynasty and Queen Elizabeth. Marlowe was the greatest among the university wits. He is only second to Shakespeare. Richard Hooker was an English priest known for his treatise of the laws of ecclesiastical polity. Sir Philip Sidney was poet, courtier, scholar and soldier, all rolled into one. He is best known for his defense of poesy. John Lilly is best known for his prose romance called Euphues and his comic play Endymion. Francis Bacon was a philosopher and a statesman. He laid the foundation of the scientific method in the era of deductive truths. Montaigne, a 16th century French essayist, was one of the most influential figures of the Renaissance. He was single-handedly responsible for popularizing the essay as a literary form. William Shakespeare, Marlowe's successor and the heir to the tradition of playwriting, was unquestionably the greatest poetic dramatist of Europe. He has been praised for his knowledge of the human heart, for his superb poetry, his aesthetic cunning, and his theatrical skill. Before we conclude our discussion, a word about the role of the printing press. The first printing press was invented by a German, Johannes Gutenberg, in 1450. William Caxton was the first person to introduce printing press in England. The printing press enormously influenced the lives of people. Printing increased output and accuracy tremendously and decreased the cost greatly. In the first place, it attracted the people towards ever-increasing reading material and so altered the structure of the society permanently. Secondly, the comparatively unrestricted circulation of information and revolutionary ideas captured the masses and threatened the power of political and religious authorities. Thirdly, a sharp increase in literacy decreased the hegemony of the literate people and bolstered the emerging middle class. Fourthly, religious and political controversies were hastened by the printing press. Lastly, the growing sense of nationalism accelerated the development of vernaculars or local languages and diminished the value of Latin as a widely spoken language. To conclude, it can be said that the Renaissance put an end to the Middle Ages and brought man into contact with the civilizations of Greece and Rome, which man had long forgotten. The philosophy of humanism restored his faith in his potentialities, and religion gradually lost its prestige. Thank you very much.